Senator Jim Talent held over during the break, and I have nothing new to report except it's still snowing in Maine, parts of Boston, maybe record. I was there as an undergraduate in 1978, the Great Blizzard of 78. They'll never persuade me this was worse because I was there for that one, so that one gets worse every year. Jim Talent, Mitt Romney stunned a lot of people 2 weeks ago, said he was thinking about running. He had a big phone call conference meeting on Friday in which he discussed it again. One of the people in that meeting told me 80% certain the governor is going to run. What do you hear? What do you think? What do you hope?
I hope. You know what I think of Mitt Romney. I mean, I think this is a guy whose whole life has been about shaking up the status quo, which is what we desperately need in Washington. So, I mean, I hope he runs. I think he's going to put himself in a position to do that. I mean, he sees the challenges the country's facing. He predicted many of them. They're existential, really. I mean, we talk about security all the time, but you know, we have to have a government that respects and understands the value that a free enterprise system brings to a country like the United States. I mean, it's central to our identity. I could go on, and I think he knows that, and I think he's going to put himself in a position to run, but he's going to try and decide, you know, where he can, what role will allow him to help the most. And I think he's going to try and do what he needs to do to keep his options open.
So that would mean you wouldn't be surprised to see him on the ballot in primary states?
No, I wouldn't. And I hope he is. I don't think he's made up his mind entirely yet, but he's definitely moved a long way from where he was.
Now, the other part of that is I wrote a piece for the Examiner yesterday, given the number of really talented candidates, and you know many of them. You worked with many of them. You've campaigned for many of them, and you spoke highly of them. But given the number and depth of our bench, I actually think we might end up at a brokered convention where there's an incentive for everyone to get into the race and grab a few delegates and go to Cleveland and see what happens. What do you think?
Yeah. You know, you make this is a really, really good point. I mean, and it's one of the things people need to understand about this process. It's quite likely to end up as a delegate hunt in the spring of next year. It is a long and difficult process. I think when I discussed this with you the last time, I said it's like climbing a very, very high hill that's very rugged and it takes a long time, and you're under fire the whole time. And it's one of the reasons I think Romney's considering this, because in the minds of the people, he's already, you know, he starts a long way up that hill. I mean, you look, he ran against a pretty charismatic president in terms of his political abilities, who had this enormous turnout operation, and Romney didn't get the nomination until after a process that everybody agreed went on too long. And, you know, he's still a switch of 2% of the vote, and Romney wins. That tells you that the voters are receptive to him. So he starts off ahead of the others, who are, I agree with you, many of them very good.
Senator Jim Talent, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me on this Tuesday, this cold Tuesday in D.C., this very cold Tuesday in Michigan. God bless you people in New England. We'll be back tomorrow on the next Hillsdale edition of the Hugh Hewitt Show.